I will eventually speak on George Orwell and their book Animal Farm, because I think we're in a time where the animals on the farm are going to have to rebel and disappear the farmer or farmers, because it seems like everything has gotten out of hand, because the farmer is literally just insanely taking advantage of the animals and pushing them to the breaking point to where the animals are going to have to band together. And just like in the book Animal Farm, they rise up, they do away with the farmer. And, we'll get on into that eventually. I would get into that eventually, because, it's more to that story than just that. It's what happened after that. But this here is about media. This is about people being sheep, or cattle, however you want to see it. The way people, human beings in a society are being herded in a direction that how shall I say it, the shepherd want them to go or whatever. But this is not the shepherd that is there for the sheep, or this ain't the cattle, the owner of cattle, caring for, the cattle. This is total control, ownership, violation of, basic human or animal rights, just someone who is getting to do whatever they want, whenever they want, to those, that they think they own. But here's the thing about all of that, right? So when I look at how everything moves in society, why people end up choosing particular things, I also got to bring up the guy Pavlov, how easily it is to train, an animal. Like we can go back to that dog thing, with the salivating at a certain time when they hear the bell or whatever, and start salivating because they think it's time to eat again or whatever, because it's been trained off of that sound that this is the moment that he gets to eat or whatever. So he automatically starts salivating as soon as he hear that sound. You could easily train people. That's why we know of the word propaganda. You can, because propaganda basically goes back into psychology, right? So you can easily train a human being, and they would never know that they have been trained. Everything that they decide, whatever decisions they make in their life, they think they make it with a free mind, and not knowing that everything they do or choose has already been laid out for them, and they just go in that direction, But they think it was their actual free thought. There is no free thoughts in this world as a whole, but definitely in this particular country. This country is built on propaganda. Pretty much everything here is a lie. We just basically live in a lie. So when it comes to media, this is what I got to say about how the particular, what you call them, anchor people or news anchor person or whatever, I hope everybody by now know that they read a script from a teleprompter. Like they don't have a thought. They're paid actors and actresses, and they read from the daily script. And as you can see, they have 24-hour media cycles, right? And on every hour, they literally repeats what was said the previous hour, and it's over and over and over. And I remember reading years ago about this method of how you can convince a person to believe something, even if it's a lie. All you got to do is repeat it 21 times, even though they know the truth. But if you repeat that lie 21 times, that's over and over, every time they see you, you come and say that same lie over and over. And at that point of 21, they doubts the lie, they doubts the truth that they actually know, and start to consider the lie, or will just believe the lie because it has to be true. It's been said so many times over and over, and the person didn't budge from it. So you can shift somebody believing what they know is the truth and start believing a lie. That's how easy this shit is. It's crazy. But so when you're looking at any media, this is what's happening. And then you have the difference between the people who actually deliver news or what's going on in the world, and then you have those are basically disguising themselves as news, but they're just really propagandists. And all they do all day is, pump out propaganda, whatever they want the people in the direction they want the people to go, which is cattle or sheep, the sheep people, whichever direction or whatever they want them to think or the direction they want them to go in. Then they spew that all day long. There are people walking around with a mind full of lies, thinking it's the truth because they constantly heard it from whatever fake media source that they got it from. So you got to see media personalities or media anchor people. You got to see them as if we was on the farm or a ranch, and the farmer needs, or the rancher needs, the sheep to go to another field, and he got all these sheep, all these people, all these sheep, and they don't know to just take, hey, we need to go over here. You have to direct them that way. So if you want them to go that way, you got to direct them. That means you start pushing them that way. But you have these particular guys on horses, that's their job, is to direct the sheep or the cattle. And then they have this other source that they use to push them to, and those are dogs. That is what I consider the media, or the police for that matter. Their job is to bark and just constantly, nip at. That's more the police right there. To bark, nip at means, if I have to bite you or whatever to get you to go this direction, that's my job to do that. And, if you don't want to be hurt, you better do as the dog suggests you to do. And the ones on the horses doing it, that's more like media, where people listen to the media and they just start following it in that direction and going in that direction of what the media is telling them what to think, or what to feel. And so yeah, the media is the ones on the horses, especially the propagandist media. The dogs on that ranch are the police. Because when one sheep literally gets out of line, one of the sheep, what we call it the black sheep, where it just starts going away from the herd, there are those particular dogs that chase it down and really get aggressive with it to push it to go in the direction of the rest of the herd, and they get really aggressive, right? This is crazy, but this is society, right? You have to really open your mind, open your eyes, your two physical eyes, and then you have to open your third eye, and then you will sit back and just view how things go, and you'll see it. It's easy to see, but a lot of people are so distracted with their everyday life and the nonsense and the working and all of that stuff that they don't take the time to see that nothing that they want, even down to your clothes that you wear, it's already been laid out for you. You know what I mean? Like you can see commercials in the winter for what's going to be the spring fashion, and you just go buy it. They choose everything for you. You don't choose anything. There's not one thought in your mind that is free. It's all been things that implanted in your mind, and you just literally choose that, thinking it's your choice, but it's never your choice. You've been hurt. You're in a herd, and you've been directed by the dogs or the ranchers. Which is media. Media shapes everything that you do. Everything. I promise you now, you could sit here and cleanse your mind today, and then you go to any store and try to pick out something that you think that you like, and I can show you all these other people that didn't pick that same thing before, and then I can backtrack and show you the commercials or who dictated that particular thing that you chose, and you don't even know because it went to your subconscious mind, right? That's how media works. It goes into your subconscious, and then eventually it comes out through your conscious mind by the choice you make. This shit gets crazy and deeper. I'm just on the surface level of this thing, just rambling, getting this out my head or whatever, and people, you can basically sum people up as what it's an old school word called automatons. They're literal robots, like they're human robots, and they all everything that you think you're doing, even your everything from the kind of make you choose, the like I said before, the clothes you choose, the vehicles you choose, the lifestyle of how you living, it's all been dictated to you. You're not free in a society. You're just doing and conforming to what they have dictated for you. You don't even know that when you even go out to, let's say it's a Friday night or Saturday night, and you go to the bar or to a nightclub or whatever, even simple things like when a guy comes up to a female and say, hey, can I buy you a drink? That's already, how do you know to do that? How do you know to do that? Where did that start? Who started that? And why do everybody do it? I can go so far with all of this, everything that people do in society, and I can tell you where it all come from. It's going to come from either the propagandists, or it's going to come from film. It's going to come from television shows, and last but not least, it can come from music. You know what I mean? How you talk, walk, everything. But that's just me rambling, getting this out of my head. I'll get back to this and add on to this, because this leads right into Animal Farm. George Orwell, who was, when I first read this book, it kind of blew my mind. This revolution, basically, this coded, revolution, which was brilliant. I'm just thinking about, as I'm speaking this, I'm just really kind of bugging out. Long as I've known all of this, like I'm just bugging out that there's no freedom anywhere. And when that's why some people, they have this awakening, and then they decide, hey, I want to live off the grid. I want to live where I'm not a part of society, conforming to these rules and regulations, and this acting like, dressing like, because pretty much that's what it is. So they want to go off grid, but you still got to be careful of that, because the more people go off grid, going to end up creating their world. And then they're going to try to shape everybody to think like them in that world. It's dangerous. Being in the bigger the society, the more people that are like clustered together, somebody is going to direct you and direct your thoughts. That's the only way that they feel that they can control you. You know what I'm saying? They have to. Man, this is crazy. And just to add on to that, when I used to see, I think it was a documentary, but I know I read up on, hermits, people that we call hermits, and at first I didn't understand it until I read, deeper into it. And then myself, like, started to understand psychology, the mind, control, MK Ultra, PSYOPs, being in the military, like 82nd Airborne, I was right down the street from one of the PSYOPs groups. And it was also played on us one time we was training, and they utilized it, on my platoon or unit, whatever. But, so it's real that there are people directing you. But the hermit, I feel like, especially when we think about it, like we always imagine this guy with this long beard living away. They thought of the hermit as a crazy person who lives on his own, far away from human beings, and this, that, and the other. But I started to understand that this was the wise person. This was the black sheep that was just like, something is wrong in society. Society is sick and don't even know it. And when you're one of the people that is awakened, it's hard to wake anybody else up, because their soul just some are scared, some are just so gone that you can't, and the older they are, you'll never be able to pull them out of it and wake them up. So the hermit just ended up saying, I'm not dealing with this no more. It's like being in a mental asylum, and the hermit leaves society, the mental asylum, which is society, and he said, I'd rather just live alone with my own thinking than to live in a society where I'm not a free thinker. I'm controlled without knowing I'm controlled. Only the people that awaken understands that. All right, that's it for now.